Hello and welcome to Landscape Photography World. I'm Grant Swinburne and I'll be your host on this show discussing the world of landscape photography. This time I'll be talking to Rune Svendsen of Svensdania about his landscape photography journey. Based in Sydney but originally from Norway, Rune is one of the many talented photographers in the Sydney landscape scene at the moment and does a great job of bringing his unique perspectives on his shots of the iconic Sydney locations. We'll learn more about how he's evolved his style and what's behind his creative drive. He's also into music, and we talk a bit about some new projects he's working on to combine his two passions. I hope you enjoy the show. Hi Rune, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate being invited to come along.
Absolute pleasure. When were you out shooting last?
Well, obviously before the pandemic. Let me think. Well, I was out shooting the supermoon or the full moon back in late May.
Yep.
But I think I had one other outing after that. I think I was doing a sunset in the city. It was kind of average, but it was still nice. I think I went to the overseas passenger terminal down in the city.
That's always a good platform.
Yeah, it's always a good spot. I was down there in that little tower where you have the staircase and that little round tower thing.
Yep.
I was up there all by myself. Beautiful evening. It wasn't a banger or anything like that, but it was still nice to be out and shoot.
Yeah.
And that was quite early in June, I think.
Okay.
I think that was my latest, to be honest. So yeah, it's been a long while.
Yeah, my last one was I think mid-June or probably mid-June at the latest. Yeah, I think that was the one that I was over at Taronga Zoo Wharf. Shooting along across the that comp where you line up the lighthouse and the opera house and Barangaroo and everything.
Yeah, exactly. That's a beautiful. I've never actually shot from there, but I've shot from Cremorne a few times, and Bradley's Head and these sort of things. But I've thought about going from Taronga Zoo myself. I'll go there because we have the zoo membership, so I go there during the daytime. And then I see this beautiful vantage point. So I've been thinking to coming back there and shooting for sunset or something.
Yeah, there's a couple of shots from up inside the zoo too that I've seen. There's a really good framing that I've never actually shot it myself, but I've seen it where you get all these trees sort of framing the city across the harbour. I'm not exactly sure where in the zoo that it is though, but I've seen a few people post that one, and it's a nice spot if you can get there around sunset. I know that you can do sort of night passes and things like that at the zoo, which probably worth doing for that.
Yeah, definitely. I think I've taken that shot. If you walk down the zoo left hand side, you sort of find your way through there. There's a little spot that's like a super good vantage point that you see all the elements in the harbor. I've taken one of those shots, I think, a little while ago. It's a beautiful spot, but never during sunset, always during the daytime. But even
you see a lot of daytime shots. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, it's beautiful. Even during midday there, you can shoot because you get some strong colors and beautiful stuff.
Awesome. You get the blues of the sky and the water and everything. Yeah.
That's it.
So how did you get started? What's your earliest photography memory? What got you into it?
Oh yeah. Well, I guess my earliest photography memory is probably like there was always my parents or probably my dad. He always took photos of our family and me and my siblings when we were kids. And we had one of those. Those slide machines. You have this old machine that you stick the old school slides from film into. We used to have those.
I used to love playing around with that.
Yeah, I can still remember the sound of that thing and so on. So I think that's for the photos and everything that was always in my life from probably an early stage, but it never affected me or made me want to shoot myself. So I think the first real time I actually picked up a camera and started photography around 2007, 8 maybe.
Oh wow! Okay.
When I started traveling. Traveling altogether, I would say.
Yep.
A lot of Europe, a lot of Italy, Spain, and these sort of places. I had the money and the time to do a bit of travel.
Yep.
For a period in my life around that time, and then I picked up one of those old school Canon Ixus point and shoot cameras.
Oh yeah.
Purely
Yeah.
to document my travels.
I've had a couple of them.
Yeah. But it did the job, you know. So
Yeah.
I was able to travel, I was able to shoot and document my travels like that. And it was kind of like,
and they weigh nothing.
They weigh absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So it was street photography / tourist attractions, that sort of thing. I got me into it in a way.
Yeah.
So that's where it started for me.
Nice. So what started you getting into sort of the landscape scene, and how did you get started in that?
Yeah, I think that probably takes me to Sydney. So I've been in Australia 8 years, and when I arrived in Sydney, I came here and I had a DSLR at the time. I had advanced from my Canon Ixus up to a Nikon D3000. I think I had when I came here, and then when I saw the harbor and everything that was going on here, like in terms of the sunsets and the different elements of the skyline and all that, that's what got me into it. I started exploring Sydney as a city with my camera, and it was kind of like a love story where I explored the city, got to know it and loved the city, and also documented it with my camera. And that's how I got into it. But definitely the cityscape part of what I do.
I mean, it's sort of, you can take a bad shot of it, but it's pretty photogenic. It's pretty hard to take a bad shot.
Yeah, that's right.
Mind you, I don't have to try that hard.
No, that's it. Yeah, I completely agree. So that's what got me into it, Sydney, I would say.
Yeah, cool. So what's your driver behind, obviously, you do a lot of cityscapes, but you're also into other styles. What do you look for in a location to try and get something that's a bit unique? Because that's from what I've seen of your work, that's a big part of what you're trying to do, is look for angles or look for compositions that might be a little bit different, a little bit out of the ordinary. So what is it that you're looking for when you're out there trying to get that unique perspective?
So I guess first of all, I probably have an idea about a shot before I necessarily go out and try and take it. But when I'm at a location, as you said, anyone can point the camera at the harbor, and it's going to be a good shot because it's beautiful. But then how and what can you do to sort of make it a little bit more your own in that sense?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's what I'm looking for. So sometimes it means crawling down on my knees and looking absolutely stupid because I'm there flat on the ground trying to find something that no one else probably looks for.
Yep.
Or walking to the sides, walking off where everyone's normally standing or shooting from. So I try to find and to challenge myself to find something that hasn't been done before. Very difficult, but that's what I enjoy about it.
It's a challenge around Sydney because there's only so many ways that you can shoot the bridge and the Opera House and the skyline and whatever. And I mean, there are a lot of different places you can go. So you can go out to Mrs. Macquarie's Chair and get that westerly shot, or you can do it from down in Farm Cove, or you can do it from over at Pyrmont or Balmain, or even over on the North Shore. There's a ton of spots over there that give you sort of those different views of the place. But I think one of the hardest parts though is there's still only so many of them, so you've really got to look for your angles when you're trying to do that. So and I think to be honest, that's one of the things that I really admire about your work, is that you've you seem to put a lot of work into looking for different ways of shooting the same old that a lot of people shoot, and don't quite get those same angles.
Yeah, I guess I've perhaps tried to carve out some kind of niche in something that's already been done a million times. That's probably what I've been trying to do, because I love those locations, and those beautiful icons are fantastic.
Yeah.
It's just, how can we do it a little bit different with my own twist and style, and that's what I've been trying to do.
Yeah, cool. So what's your shooting process? Sort of, you found your spot, and you found what you think's your comp. What's going through your mind? What do you do when you're on location?
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, I'm a tripod shooter, and you can probably see that from my images. Like it's finding a good spot where I can work with a composition that looks good on the back of my camera or through the eye, through the viewfinder. So I'll set up and I'll take shots, and I guess typically I'm someone that gets there early and stands in the same spot for a long time and shoots different.
So you're not one of those trying to run around doing different comps?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I don't. No, I don't do that. I'll stick with one spot, and I'll shoot different exposures, different light through the scene. Like, one of my favorite things is to be there from before sunset.
Yep.
Shoot the scene, and then it gets darker, and then after I end up with some shots before sunset, during sunset, after sunset, and I blend them together.
Yeah, get that lovely blue lighting with the lights coming on the buildings, etc. Yeah,
that's right. These kind of things, that's probably my typical workflow when I'm out there. It depends on if it's been a while since I've been out. I might want to try to get a few more angles, and then I do a bit of moving around. But I guess I'm the typically me would be I'm stuck in one position. Yeah. And then when everyone has gone home and it's pitch black, then I'm still there for a little bit longer.
Get there early, leave there first in, last out.
That's right. Yeah. So you walk away with one shot. That's the hard part, but that's what it is.
Yeah, or one composition. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you get them home and you've got your one shot, what are you doing to make it look good? To give it the best you can. Are you doing a lot of blending, or are you doing with bracketed shots, or are you what sort of process are you trying to do it all in camera? What sort of processing do you do?
Yeah, I probably do most composites. I don't. Sometimes I do in camera one shot. It can happen. But I enjoy that thing when I'm also, from the moment when I'm out there shooting, I also think about, okay, what can I do here to shoot the scene in different exposures? So I deliberately do that because I know that I want to blend them together at a later stage. Yeah. So It's probably a bit of that, but I guess from a workflow point of view, it starts in Lightroom, like I guess for everyone else, where I do lights, colors, tweaks, that sort of thing. And I normally find a couple of shots from my roll that I like and I can see working well together, and then they go into Photoshop, and then I continue there. And then maybe I bring them back into Lightroom for one final boost of color tweaks on the global level for the full image. Cool. So it's a bit like that.
Yeah. Okay. So what without giving away your secret spots, do you have a favorite spot to shoot?
Yeah, but I love the harbor, and I love the icons, and you can see that from my feed as well. If I'm going to choose one spot, it's the spot you already mentioned, the Mrs. McQuarrie's chair. It's hard to go beyond that if you want a classic, like the bridge.
Yeah, it gives you the opera house and the bridge, and you can swing around and get the city lights and everything as well. Yeah.
If I was going to choose another spot that's not accessible, I was lucky to be on an organized shoot on top of the Shangri-La Hotel a while ago. And that sort of thing, then you walk away with many shots you can use.
Yeah.
You can get a lot out of, because that's incredible. Places like that, just fantastic.
Yeah, you don't get many opportunities to get up there, up on the roof anyway.
No.
Well, you can always, spend a few $100s a night to take a room, but
yeah, you can do that, but it's just behind the glass. It's not the same.
Yeah. You gotta make sure that the window cleaners have done their job if you're going to do that.
Yeah, you can do it with the lens skirts and everything, but to be up there and put your tripod over the little wall they have up there is fantastic, incredible. So that's an awesome spot, but it's not accessible. Every day.
Yeah, it's not an everyday shoot, that one.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. So how about safety? Have you had any issues when you're out shooting, or anything that's been a near miss? Obviously, you're still here, so nothing too dangerous. But have you had any misadventures?
Not really. I mean, safety first, always. So I think that's the number one priority. There's been a couple of times, you have lightning storms and that sort of thing.
That's always a bit of a risk, but worth it.
Yeah, I've never been close enough to say that it was actually dangerous. I've been in one location where you do need to do a little bit of trespassing to go walk away with the shot, because it's not intended for people. But I tend not to do that anymore. I stay away from these places. I don't really enjoy it. I think for me, photography is also recreational. So you go outside to spend a couple of hours, just you and the camera and the scene. And if it's dangerous, you can't really relax. So
yeah. I mean, I know that there's been a bit of an Instagram, what do you call it, theme or trend, I guess, for some people to go out on these, out on the tops of buildings, climbing towers, and all the rest of that sort of thing. I mean, for me, it's that's just taking it too far for a shot. If you're standing there and you're inches away from death, I honestly don't think the shot's worth it. I mean, I know that there's some people that do it, they're adrenaline junkies, and they may well, take all the safety precautions in the world to do it. But yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I just don't see the point in, getting that close to death just for a photo on Instagram.
No, definitely not. And I've never been in any situation like that or done anything like that. Borderline crazy now. It's not for me.
No, nor I. One of the things I did want to talk to you about was your music, because that's something that I think a lot of people that follow you on Instagram or know your photography probably don't know that much about. I know you've dropped a new track recently on Spotify. So tell us a bit how you got into that and what.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for asking that question. It's probably something that's not that many people who knew about myself from the beginning and so on, because they know me as a photographer and for my photography. But for me, that's probably how my first sort of flirt with something that was creative, you could say. Back in the day, you had where I grew up at a time where before the internet, and then we had computers at home. That was the Commodore 64 or the Amiga for people who are older.
I remember those.
Like that. Exactly. So I got into something that we called the demo scene back then, which was probably people getting together, young people creating presentations, doing music for them, and I was the musician for those kind of things. So I got into this thing that's called tracker music, where you could you use the computer to write songs or music for computer demonstrations and so on, and that's how I got into that.
Cool.
Later on, I was in a couple of different bands with some of my mates, I was probably part of house music, techno, you could say, the scene that went on in my hometown on the west coast in Norway. So I was part of that. But then it sort of like faded away. You get a job, you move on with other things and that sort of thing. And then I didn't really get into anything creative then until I took up photography. Because it may sound a little bit crazy, but it is in a way quite similar, at least for me. You write a song, a set of rules, you use a set of tools, you do a photo, you also use a set of tools.
There's a workflow to it,
yeah, exactly. So it was basically now that I've had some more time to get into things. I got a little bit of equipment and so on to start to write some songs, and I downloaded Ableton and had a go at it a little while ago. So sort of slowly got back into it, and I have a mate in Norway who runs a little indie label, has a reasonable studio, so he's helped me out with some mastering and so on. So that's how I sort of got back into it. So that's cool.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you. That's good.
So what's the name of the track so listeners can get hooked up to it on Spotify?
Yeah, if you look me up on Spotify, it's the same alias as I use on Instagram. It's Svensdania.
Yep.
It's exactly the same. You'll find me there on Spotify under the name. You also find me on YouTube and Apple Music and a few other platforms. Cool. I've dropped 2 tracks so far. The first one is called 367 Dreams, which is really a flirt with the old days, for the old SID chip from the old Commodore 64 days. So you'll hear that. And then I did another track, which is more of a homage to the disco days. That's called Travolta.
Yeah, I took a listen to that the other day. I really like it because the disco days were kind of when I grew up. Mind you, I was more into punk at the time than I was into disco. But
that's cool. Thanks for listening. That's cool.
That's good. So what are your? Does your photography influence your music and vice versa, or do you just see them as 2 separate creative outlets that you just let you do your own thing?
Yeah, good question. So far I guess it's been quite 2 separate things, but I've sort of been trying to, what can I do here that joins the 2 of them together. So I think maybe in the future I'll try and shoot some content that probably speaks to the music, maybe even the other way around, and write something that goes along with my images. So far, I think they're probably quite separate. So it's something that I want to explore a little bit further, and how I can do maybe some multimedia. It could be videos, could be something that is bringing those 2 crafts into one form.
Nice.
But that's yet to be explored. Yes, but it's I think 2 separate things so far.
Definitely watch and listen to this space. That sounds intriguing.
Exactly. It's pretty fun when you do both those things together. It's quite interesting. So it's cool.
Yeah. So it doesn't sound like you have any problem in keeping motivated, I guess. What do you do if you get into a bit of a creative rut where you think, I've shot this 1,000 times, I don't want to shoot it anymore? You just move on and shoot something else, or do you have photographer's block ever, or and how do you deal with it?
I think that I probably have that as everyone else. I've been here before. I've been here with my tripod, my lenses and my filters. Some new gear is always good. I have been here, but I haven't been here with this lens. That sort of thing. It's always it's been inspiring for me. I think I've done that a few times. But I guess it's about trying to shake you out of it and try something a little bit different. I've been here, but I haven't tried this. Go and shoot with other people is good, because sometimes you see people do something that you never thought about, or they go somewhere that you didn't think about, or even they say something or show you something.
That
I remember when my first full frame camera, my 5D. There was a gentleman I was out shooting with. His alias is Pink Lemonade Photography. You'll probably find him on Instagram still. He's a fun guy. So we went out shooting, and he showed me this little trick. I never used the live view on my camera. I always shot through the viewfinder, which you should, of course. But he actually, you just tap this button, and okay, that's cool. So since that moment, he showed me that I actually sort of started using my live view function a lot more. So it's things like that, maybe in your workflow that you didn't think about, that others do that you don't. Could be basic things like this that I'm just talking about. That gives you new ideas, looking at things from a different way.
Yeah, that's cool. One of the things I do is sometimes I just flick into YouTube and go down YouTube rabbit holes with photographers that are also doing vlogging, and so you look at some of what they're doing, and even if they're in they're international, they're not Australian or whatever. It still sometimes just inspires me to get out there and go, and as getting up in the morning, is always a bit of a hard ass, particularly in winter. And but it's one thing that always sort of clears the cobwebs for me is watching somebody else do something and just trying to learn a little bit out of it. And I say, oh, all right, I'm going to go and try that. They might be doing a technique I haven't tried, and I'll say, all right, well, I'm going to go and try that. Where can I try that? And, depending on what it is, whether it's a new way of doing flow or a new way of, doing, either a longer or a shorter exposure, and I went out with a friend of mine, actually, Gary Graham from GSG Images. He took me out to Eastern Creek because he's tied up with Audi. And it was really different, totally different shooting style, shooting race cars and motor racing, and, just trying to get, and, working with Gary because he was so experienced at it, just working with him to get, some pointers on how to, focus, where to focus on the car, how to set the camera settings up so that you got, a bit of spinning wheel, but you still got the sharpness with the car. So you had to, flick into auto ISO, for example, so that you didn't worry about that. And then you're just focusing on your aperture and your shutter speed. So, just doing something different always, sort of gets me out of those sorts of ruts. And I think it's really important to just go and try and do different things,
Definitely, yeah. But that's the fun thing about photography as well, because there's so many genres and things you can sort of seek out and try and experience in a different way.
Absolutely.
Landscape, cityscape is one thing, but like you said, shooting motorsports, it's a completely different ball game.
That's
what I love about it.
I learned a lot, and if you've listened to Gary's episode, you probably heard him say that he's learning a lot from me, and I think that's one of the things that I really like about photography is that you can get inside your own headspace and just go off and do things on your own, but you can also share a lot and learn a lot just by getting involved in the community and talking to people and learning what they do and how they do it. And I just think that's one of the nice things about, particularly when you go shooting with other people, is that you get the opportunity to learn a lot.
Definitely, absolutely. It's priceless. It's very good.
So when you're out there, in Sydney or wherever it is, what bit of kit can't you live without with?
Ooh, kit, yeah. So normally in my bag, well, obviously my camera body has to be there.
Yeah.
But I guess you're talking more about lenses and
Oh,
sort of things
any
now,
bit
right?
of kit. It could be a filter, could be the tripod, could be, the 2 times extender. What is it that you've got to have?
Yeah, exactly.
Apart from the latest
I
bit
know,
of kit, obviously.
yeah, there's always something new that you would like. No,
Absolutely.
but I never leave home without the my Nisi kit, which is fantastic.
Yep.
Especially, I'd say, the polarizer. I don't shoot without that.
Okay.
Even what sort of even for things like when you're in the city or you're shooting a part of a building, that thing always does something for me. For instance, if you there's these shots that we can take right down at Campbell Cove when you looking at the Opera House. There's a bench, and then you do that
Yep.
low angle bench shot.
Yep.
If someone that's listening there, if you haven't tried this, try it with the polarizer. Spin the polarizer and see what happens.
Okay.
Because that makes that thing just pop. It's these kind of things.
Yeah.
Railings or so it's obviously to balance the sky and to balance water and
Yep.
these sort of things. But it's all I also use it during Vivid. I remember using it to when you have the beams, light beams, spin the polarizer, suddenly it pops.
Yeah.
It makes a difference for that sort of thing. Polarizer is absolutely something that I would not leave home without, unless I'm doing a portrait shoot, which is out of my comfort zone. But I do that sometimes. Then I would bring it. But for any other thing, it's always comes along.
Cool.
It's good.
Yeah. So what body are you shooting with at the moment? And what kit is you still with the DSLR, or have you made the shift to mirrorless?
Yeah, I used to shoot with the 5D for many years. 5D3 I had for many years,
Yep.
but then I moved up to the EOS R, the Canon's first mirrorless.
Yep.
And I haven't moved from that one yet, but that was a very good like step up from the 5D in terms of at least
sure.
from the 5D3. It was a good level up in terms of resolution and data to work with. Dynamic range and all these sort of things. So I would shoot to the 5D, the USR lens kit. I have the 16 to 35 f2.8 version 2. I've got the 70.
So is that, sorry, is that for the R or is that for the?
Oh yeah, good call. All my lenses are EF. I have not purchased
so you're
any
using
RF
a converter,
yet.
right?
I used a converter, but that is very good. You don't compared to how those lenses performed on my 5D. You don't see a difference. They are even probably faster, and the focus is fantastic.
Okay, so that doesn't make any difference to the focal length at all, because you're adding
no. Yeah, I guess you have a little bit of distance there from the camera body to the lens. I haven't really noticed anything there.
I suppose you'd only really notice it at the extremes if you were doing a comparison. Yeah, I mean, I crop a lot anyway, so it probably wouldn't make any difference.
yeah, it's a good question. If you line them up side by side and see what happens, if it is as wide, I'm not sure, but that's a good question.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen anyone do a comparison of that. It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah. I'm going to go and Google that after this. I want to find out.
I can see myself going down another YouTube rabbit hole tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Very interesting. No, I haven't, but I haven't noticed anything. It's been good, very good. In my experience.
Cool. So what is your style? How would you describe it for the listeners?
Yeah, my style. So I guess you've sort of touched a little bit onto it. I shoot classics with probably attempting to do a little bit on with my own view and twist and style and so on. But sort of an original look to it, I hope to achieve. So I think that's probably one part of it. Probably quite colorful. I do like color in that way as well. I guess probably, I'd say probably a little bit unpredictable in that sense. I try to do my own thing, but I do shoot classics. That's what I do.
Cool. So whose work is sort of, catching your eye at the moment? I know there's a bunch of people out there that I think have really come along and come a long way since I sort of started up on Instagram a few years ago. But who's sort of out there that you're seeing that you're really enjoying their work?
I guess there's a few different people, but I can't go by Hiso or Chungi, if you know his work. Yeah. He is probably like somewhat of a next level sort of thing, and the dedication.
Yep.
Like I go out there and I stay from before sunset until it gets dark, but this person, he goes out there and stays all night.
Yeah, he's there from
next level dedication.
From dusk till dawn. Yeah.
From dusk till dawn. That's right. That's very good results. Super high quality work. So I really enjoy looking at his.
Yeah, same here. He's got some magnificent shots.
Yeah, and then works like yourself and other shooters in Sydney that does coastal work, flow work is always good to look at. It's nice to see that Nicky Bings is always out there.
Yeah,
regardless. I enjoy that sort of determination as well. It's good. Hi, Nicky. It's very enjoyable to see that work. As always.
Yeah, no, she does some great work. Yep.
Yeah, and indeed, from the local Sydney shooters as such. Yeah, I think many people in Sydney also inspire me with what they do and so on.
Cool. Okay. So what when you're not making music, what are you doing? Or when you're not shooting and when you're not making music, what's in Rune's world?
Well, I have a day job, so of course that takes a lot of time. Outside of that, I'm a dad to a 3-year-old. That keeps me very busy. It means that I can't just go out and shoot when I want, but I need to be more planned ahead and so on. But I'm a dad and I'm a family man. So I've got a wife, of course. So the family takes a lot of my time.
They take up a bit of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I try to bring my wife with me on as many shooting trips as I can, particularly when I do waterfalls and that sort of thing, because she loves bushwalking. But can't always convince her to get out of bed at 3:00 in the morning in winter.
No, exactly. No, that's the thing. So yeah, it's family, that sort of thing takes most of my time.
Yeah, cool. All right, I got one more question for you, and for me, it's probably the most important. Pineapple on pizza.
I don't mind that. The Hawaiian style. I don't mind that. I think that's quite good. But I do like other things on my pizza as well.
Yeah, same here. I'm a bit of a pizza with the lot, and I don't mind the anchovies and olives. I know there's a lot of people that are anti-anchovy, but I don't mind them.
Yeah, that's probably one thing. That's the Napolitano style. That's probably not my favorite.
Yeah,
I'd go with the pineapple ham before that. But, there you go.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks very much for taking the time to talk with us tonight, Rune. I've certainly enjoyed catching up with you, and it's really interesting to get in depth a little bit about some of your your ways of working, etc. So where can people find your work other than Instagram on Svensdania?
You can find my website as well. That's just svensdania.com, exactly the same. Just mainly there, I'd say, for photography. I haven't really indulged in any other platforms as such. You can find my work there. You can find my music on Spotify, also on Svensdania, and a few other platforms. So really, if you Google Svensdania, you'll find me, I'd say.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's a fairly unique handle, I reckon.
Hopefully, yeah.
All right, mate. Thank you so much for taking the time, and I hope to talk to you again soon and see you out and about.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thanks, mate. Thanks again for listening to Landscape Photography World. I hope you enjoyed the show, and keep listening, because I'll be joined with some great guests in upcoming episodes. You can find my work in this podcast at grantswinburnphotography.com. I'm also on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. I'm Grant Swinburne, and hope to see you out shooting soon.